Welcome to the real world. My name is Cameron. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special episode. We're going to be talking all about Godzilla minus one, the new Godzilla movie that's now in theaters. Very excited to talk about this. We're going to kind of just give our background on Godzilla and our history with the character, and then we're going to move into a non-spoilers review, and then we'll go full spoilers by the end. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, just go ahead and watch the first part of the video after you've watched it. Check out the spoilers review later. But joining me on this is Josh. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. Glad you can make it. I know we both got a chance to see this over the weekend, and so we definitely wanted to talk about it. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's making quite a lot of money, especially considering the budget and that it's a foreign
Mm.
film. So it's one that I really wanted to talk about. Our reaction video on the channel got a lot of views, so people are obviously curious about this movie. So wanted to dive a little bit deeper into it, and so let's do that now. All right, so first off, I'll just mention that I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I have been for a long time, going back all the way to that 1954 original film. Remember seeing that when I was fairly young and just really loving it. Of course, in the 90s when I was growing up, it was the Roland Emmerich film from 1998 with Matthew Broderick, which I liked when I was younger. Now I don't really care for it all that much at all. But I've
Yeah.
gone back and since watched a lot of the films from the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the different eras. I've watched pretty much all of them, I think. There might be a handful of them that I
Mm.
haven't seen yet. But yeah, big fan of the franchise. So going into this, it was interesting. I wasn't super interested. No Godzilla movie in the past, several years has really looked very interesting to me. I've of course watched the American versions. I've gotten some enjoyment out of those, certainly, the Monster Verse. But when this one came out, I really got interested because I saw a lot of five-star reviews. So that's what kind of piqued my interest going in. Josh, what's your history with Godzilla?
My history is basically just exposure via the MonsterVerse, which I've seen the first two like twice, and then Godzilla v Kong versus Kong once. But yeah, I've been meaning to go back and watch the obviously the original for sure. And every time Criterion has their the sale with Barnes and Noble, whatever that I think it's like normally $200 down to like $100. Yeah, like that whole Godzilla thing just like is there every time. Like, hey, you haven't seen me yet.
Yeah, well, that's right. They've got that big
um,
box set now of all of them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like
that looks cool.
the pinkish one. Yeah, it
Right,
looks really
right.
cool.
Yeah,
So I need to see them. I just haven't actually gotten around to it. So this is my only non-American exposure to Godzilla. As far as
cool.
actually seeing a film, I've seen like
Gotcha.
clips here and there and stuff like
Sure,
that.
sure. Right. Okay, cool, cool. Okay, so two very different perspectives, right?
Mm,
Okay, so that's cool. So I guess we should talk about, our experiences seeing this new film. Again, I saw it because I wasn't super interested. The trailer was okay, I thought. I heard it was kind of a loose remake of the original, like they're going back to basics with it. First one's, in the 50s, so this one's in the 40s. But so there was a little bit of interest, but again, it wasn't until I saw some respected critics giving it like 5 stars, saying it's one of the best of the year. I was like, what? So I was like, I have to check this out. So gathered up all my brothers. We all went to the theater together and watched it. We're again all big fans, down from my youngest brother who's 12 all the way up to me. It was very, very fun. We had a great time.
mm,
It was very unexpected, I think, for me. Like a lot of the things that happened, the focus of the story, it was just all kind of caught me off guard a little bit. So
mm.
what was your going in? What did you know about it? Had you seen reviews? Did you know anything about the story?
I just saw like a trailer or two. I didn't see any reviews. I try not to look at reviews because either it sways me one way or the other, and either like, it just affects my viewing experience negatively. Even if it's like they're saying all the good things, because then my expectations are too high and
Right,
I don't enjoy it as much, or then they're saying a bunch of crap, and then instead of like ignoring it, it's kind of like poking there in the back of your mind
right,
as you're watching something, like, yeah, they did say that.
right.
Whereas you would have not even thought of that unless they had pointed it out.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't see any reviews. I just watched the trailer, and I think the trailer for this and the Monarch series came out around pretty close,
Yeah.
pretty close to each other, I think.
Yep.
So kind of like, oh, like I don't have Apple TV Plus right now, so it was like oh, I can get my Godzilla fix this way kind of thing. And I knew it was going to be like Japanese, so I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah,
And the budget looked good from what I could see, like, the CGI anyway, everything.
right.
It looked like it was, going to be a quality film. So I was like, okay, and I don't know, I don't understand the title, but I'll go see it. I want to see this. So
Right.
yeah, that was kind of going into it.
Cool, cool, great, great. So yeah, so the movie opens, again, we're not going to get into spoiler details or anything, but it opens in World War II. Like I said earlier, it's all set in the 1940s. And man, it just again it kind of took me off guard the way it opened. It really focused a lot on the human characters. And a lot of
Hmm.
Godzilla movies, I mean, every Godzilla movie has a human storyline in it. To me, that's always the weak point of really all of the Godzilla movies to me, maybe besides the original. To me, I'm always just waiting to see Godzilla again. I just want to see him fight another monster or, destroy some stuff or whatever. It's just most of them are very fun and kind of silly. Whereas, the original took it a lot more seriously. Godzilla was a scary monster character where, he kind of represented the atomic age and, Japan was obviously, rebuilding after World War II and that whole thing. So this very much brought that whole idea back, I felt.
Hmm.
I felt
Yeah.
that not only brought that idea of Godzilla as a force of destruction and a sort of representation of nuclear war and that kind of thing, but it really gave us, even to me, surpassing the original and giving us human characters we care about, human characters that go through, transformation over the course of the movie, that have, meaningful relationships with one another, that are funny, that are fun to watch, things like that. That I just, again, I that's what I've always been wanting, I think, from these Godzilla movies.
Hmm.
And so to me, it just delivered on that level. People kind of are on the fence about the subtitles. A lot of people don't like reading subtitles. They don't like foreign movies because they have to read the whole thing. But I really kind of forgot it was a Japanese movie after a while. It was one of
Hmm.
those things where I was just like so invested, so in the story, that yeah, I guess I was reading, but it didn't really even cross my mind. It was just part of the story.
Yeah.
So that's a major win. I feel like that's whenever that happens with a foreign film. The acting was great. Like you're saying, that the effects. This movie has if you translate it to American dollars, about a $15 million budget. And of course, in Japan, they don't pay their
That's
actors as
crazy.
highly as we do. So it's not quite one to one necessarily, but
Hmm.
it's far lower than any American big budget
Yeah.
American production, any American Godzilla movie, even going back to 1998. I mean, it puts all these Hollywood movies to shame because it really looks as good, if not better, than a lot of the big budget special effects heavy films that we get. And so, I think that's a testament to the artists involved, the quality and the
Hmm.
care and the time they took, the effort they put into this movie, which I think Hollywood needs to learn from. And so,
Yeah.
I think that's a major plus. The director is also a visual effects guy. That's kind of his background, and so I
Oh
think
yeah, I
that
saw that.
yeah, that plays a lot into it as well. So, yeah, just a triumph on that level. The writing, the acting, the direction, the effects, the editing. I didn't ever feel like a moment got too dull or too boring. I was always
Hmm.
in it. So, yeah, just really, really well made film on every level. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, so those are kind of my spoiler-free thoughts. Really enjoyed it. Had a great time. I will admit it did make me cry. It's the first Godzilla movie that actually made me cry at the end. So that's another element of it that proves that it told its story well in my eyes. So, but Josh, give me your kind of just spoiler free thoughts, overall thoughts on the movie.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said. It looks fantastic. You'd never would have known that it wasn't this huge budget with the
Yeah,
way the effects look and all that. And I agree with you. It's probably, I mean, granted, the amount of Godzilla movies I've seen is far less than you, but out of the MonsterVerse movies anyway, and this one, which I do like some of the human stories in there. To me anyway, I think they're compelling. Particularly the second Godzilla movie,
yeah, King of the
God of the
Monsters. Yeah,
Monsters, King
yeah,
of the
yeah.
Monsters.
Right, right.
But I think this one has the best human story out of all of them. And I like what you were saying because I was thinking about it as you were talking about the human element and like always wanting more Godzilla. And I think this film did a good job at balancing that, where it wasn't like, okay, we've been focusing on the humans forever. Where's Godzilla going to show up?
Right.
Like they did a really good job not making you kind of like, okay, like they kept giving you enough Godzilla to last, I think. And then just yeah, I don't know, seeing it in the historical setting in World War II, anything in World War II I always loved. So having it like that, and then like the historical elements of just like it's basically like Godzilla on top of what was already happening there, which is cool as well. And then some of this learned some stuff about history I didn't know, which was nice. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. My only complaint would be I just prefer the way they portrayed and the physical look of Godzilla and the MonsterVerse a little better. But being a remake, as far as what he looked like, that's not what they were going for. And then as
Right.
far as also being a remake, I don't know if you want to say his personality or his character or whatever,
Right.
is also not what they were going for. So I understand
Yes.
why it's different.
Sure. Sure.
But that would be my own, like if I had a complaint, that's the only thing, negative thing I could say. But otherwise, yeah, it was really well made film. And actually, it was kind of funny when we were talking about subtitles, which again, yeah, these were great as well. It wasn't anything like I missed a line because it went by too quick. Like every once in a while, something like that happens. But
Right.
it was cool because I went and saw this and Silent Night in the same day,
Okay.
and I saw Silent Night first, and then this one.
Okay.
And Silent Night, there was maybe like a handful of people in there, which was a little disappointing. But came over into this theater, it was
Oh.
full theater.
Oh
And
wow.
granted, it wasn't one of the bigger theater, the bigger auditorium rooms or whatever that was in
Right.
at the theater chain. But it was still a good size, and it was full of people. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, props for Godzilla, props for Japanese and foreign films, props
Yeah.
for subtitles. Like,
Yes.
yeah, okay. So that was really cool to see. Yeah, that was really encouraging.
Definitely. Yeah, we went on a Sunday night and it was pretty full. I mean, there were several people. I don't think it was quite packed, but it was pretty full theater. I was pretty surprised because yeah, like we were talking about foreign film, subtitled, but it's the power of the character, right? I mean, he's just
Yeah,
transcended, borders at this point, and so whenever a new one comes out, he's gonna dominate the box office and hopefully it continues to make more money because I think we need
I
more foreign films out here.
yes, I agree. But I think I just saw an article, I didn't read it, but I just saw an article, so I think don't quote me, but that they're extending the release for it, the theatrical run in the US,
Yes, I did read that. Yeah, that is happening.
which
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
that is very cool. Very cool. Very exciting. So yeah, good stuff. I think it's again the word of mouth and the box office
Mm,
obviously is doing a lot for it. The positive reviews and all that. So yeah, you mentioned the title -1. A lot of people are confused about that. I heard that the director's intention behind the -1 title was that
mhm.
after World War II, Japan was taken from like height of its powers, at like say 100 down to zero,
Mhm.
down to like ground level, and they're trying to rebuild, and then Godzilla comes in and takes them below zero to -1. So that's kind of the intention behind that
Yes.
title, which I thought was clever. So okay, well, you want to give us your star rating before we get into spoilers? I'm at a full 5 stars here. I really do believe this is one of the best of the year. Honestly, I was just again so pleasantly surprised with it. I think that had a lot to do with it.
Mm,
And yeah, that when you're kind of loosely remaking an original, this is how you do it. You kind of have your own spin
yeah.
on it, your own story that you're telling, your own new characters, and just taking everything to the next level. Kind of is what I feel like this movie did. So yeah, I'm at full 5. What do you have it at right now, Josh?
I think right now I'm at 4.
Okay.
But it could go up upon rewatch, and it probably would go up to 4.5 upon rewatch.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, let's get into a little bit of spoilers. There are some big moments in the movie that I wanted to discuss. I'll just kind of take it, try to take it as much in chronological order through the plot as we can here. So, spoiler alert right now, if you have not seen it, go ahead and click away, save the video, and come back to it later after you've seen it. So opening scene opens actually the original opens on the ocean too, which I thought was cool. And
Hmm.
then but then we get an island, a plane flying to an island, and he
Yeah.
he lands there, and you find out he's a kamikaze pilot who was supposed to have committed suicide in battle, and he didn't. He kind of fled to this island, and now Godzilla's there, and he's attacking all these mechanics that work there, and everyone's getting decimated. I did notice Godzilla was quite a bit smaller. I was like, oh, that's an interesting
Yeah.
size they're going for there for Godzilla.
I
He's
was a little concerned.
right, right. Yeah, he's no bigger than like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I'm like, okay, this is
Yes.
kind of an interesting choice, but whatever. We'll see how this goes. And of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
that whole scene plays out. I thought that was very well shot. A lot in shadow. You can't
Hmm.
really see Godzilla, which I like that they kind of hide him at first. I think that's always a
Yeah.
clever way to do it. But then, as we he gets back to the mainland, he survives that attack, and he starts kind of picking up the pieces literally after the devastation of Japan and Tokyo there. His family's been killed, but he finds this young lady and a baby. Who we find out, she just found, so she's just caring for this, random baby that she found, and so they kind of create this makeshift family, and
Hmm.
that's the heart of the film. That's that whole family dynamic
Yeah.
there. I just felt, was so powerful. This kind of idea of survivors kind of just helping one another. And it just really, really struck a chord with me. So I really enjoyed that. We get kind of this big montage essentially in the middle of the film as he kind of is now working with these guys to get these mines out of the ocean, which that whole crew that we meet is a lot of fun. The captain and Doc and
Yeah.
Kid and all these characters. I like the simplicity of this movie too. I think that's something that a lot of movies miss, is just how simple you can keep things to make it really work. You don't have to have
Mm.
tons of complex characters and relationship dynamics and storylines. It's just like very simple. We're just following this one guy, and he meets these new characters. They come into his life, and they have very simple names, and you can track everybody, and they're kind of dynamic. So yeah, I think simplicity is a big key to this movie. But during that montage scene, as we're kind of seeing him and this family kind of grow together, and he's working, and they're kind of rebuilding, that's when I leaned over to my brother and I was like, I love this movie. This is just so cool. It's just so kind of quaint, and like I just, again, something I didn't expect from a Godzilla movie, like just this kind of fun little domestic, drama kind of comedy that's going on in the middle of it. But of course, Godzilla comes back into the story. It's years later. He's much larger now, after the
Yeah.
nuclear fallout, and so he comes to town to destroy again. The destruction sequences to me are second to none. I think
Mm.
you just feel them. I think that's the key here, is that you're on the ground with the characters, looking up
Yeah.
at him. Or I thought it was really clever. They had that news crew on the top of the building, kind of trying to record
Yeah.
it, so you get another angle on him, and just what they're doing with him crashing through buildings using his tail, and using his mouth to grab the train, which is a sequence right out of the original. They paid homage to the original in
Mm.
really clever ways, like little things that he would do, little places he would go to, musical score would come back from the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
they did a great job with all that stuff. So it was very, very well done on that level as well. But man, when he used the atomic breath, that was like, it was just, my jaw dropped. I mean, it was just like unlike any other version of that I've ever seen throughout the character's entire
Mm.
history. He shoots this beam out of his mouth, and it creates this atomic explosion, that
Literally.
just, yeah, it just wipes out everything in its path. And so that was, again, a jaw-dropping moment when he did that. Just so unexpected, such a clever and cool way to do it. It makes so much sense, right? I mean, it's called
Yeah.
atomic breath. He's nuclear powered, like all that stuff just kind of really played into
He's
that. Was really,
representing
yeah,
what he represents too. That plays right
yes.
in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was just really, really clever and smart, the way they did that, and it just looked spectacular. So yeah, they definitely did a good job of, again, making Godzilla scary, making him the kind
Yeah.
of force to be reckoned with, that these characters have to figure out how are we going to stop him. So all of that worked really well. The whole plot to take out Godzilla was not the same as the original. It was similar in some
Mm.
ways, but it was different, and so I really liked that. I thought it was really cool the way they did it, the way they shot it. The whole finale was just really well done. But yeah, the movie just it deals with some themes of obviously war, the war, literally World War II, but also the war within. A soldier
Yeah.
coming back from war and dealing with all that he went through, and the whole idea of honor and sacrifice and all these things. They just played it all out so well, and
Hmm.
the action was really exciting. Again, the human drama of it is what kept it all compelling, kept me so engaged on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen to these characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. The hospital scene at the end, that's what got me. That's what made me cry.
Mm.
It was just
So
such a
unexpected.
yeah, it was, and it's one of those things where it's like they're building to like this ultimate sacrifice he's going to make, and
Yeah.
she's gone, and it's like I'm so glad they didn't go that way.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary to do that. The whole point of the movie kind of is more about the life and living,
Yeah.
for what you have, and so that's all great, just very well done. Any spoiler things you wanted to mention, Josh, specifically?
Yeah, well, I'm on the breath. I think that was definitely a jaw-dropping moment because, like, again, I didn't even know his breath had been done. I guess outside of the MonsterVerse movies,
Yep.
I don't know. It just seems more of a Americanized version of a kind of thing to do. But
Right.
yeah, like because that's just like blue fire breath, basically,
Yes.
like dragon's breath, essentially in
Right.
those
Right.
movies. But then you go into this and it's like a nuclear blast, essentially,
Yeah.
and that was like, oh, dang. Okay. And then it comes full circle in the end because after he blows up the one ship, like a la Death Star 2,
Right.
then he's gearing up again, and you're like, you guys gotta, this is it. If you don't
Right.
stop him, you're done. And
Right.
like it just builds that tension so well because if he lets off that last blast, that is over.
Yeah.
So that whole, like you said, the whole sequence was really good, and I liked you kind of know, you're thinking in the background like, oh, maybe he's not gonna kill himself, or
Right.
like he's gonna be able to get out.
Yes.
But I liked like the whole thing really like, oh, it'd be compelling if he did that,
Right.
but then also he'd be leaving his daughter, and that'd be
Right.
like bad and sad, and like you got this whole like thematic struggle with all of it, and
Yep.
then like bringing it full circle about like them talking about like them as a culture, or the government anyway,
Yeah.
the
Right.
Japanese
Right.
government at the time, not caring about the pilots, and not giving him injection seats and like stuff. All those things they mentioned too was really cool. It was kind of like them now using the people then to comment on the society at the time and the government at the time, and just like how the faults of the government and how they were neglecting their people and stuff like that. I don't know. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Just from a historical perspective, and even the stuff with the mines, blowing up the mines. I didn't even know that was a
Mm,
thing.
right.
So that was really cool to see, and the whole story, like you said, not even just the sequence, but like just all of it, all three of well, I guess the three of them, but mainly the two adults. Their story is like super compelling and interesting. It's not
Yes.
like, okay, well, we've been on this for a while. Let's get back to the monsters because
Right.
it is interesting, and because they bring Godzilla in there a little bit here and there as he attacks and does different things.
Yep.
But like you mentioned in the beginning when he's like T-Rex sized, especially when you can tell because when he bites the person, I'm like, this is very T-Rex like, but he's
Right.
in the trailer he was much bigger. So I'm a little concerned as to what's going to happen here. I was
Right.
like, is this going to be like they didn't size him right in CGI and he's going to be bigger later because they messed up? But no,
Right.
they explained it perfectly, and it was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't even think about that, like you said, with the giving us the view on top
Yeah.
with the crew,
Right.
giving us another perspective. Because you're right, it is so much like from the individual people's perspective, not only seeing him, but the reactions to him, like you said about like I mean the whole scene with the I think it was when he let off the atomic breath, right when she had supposedly died. Is that what that
Yes.
was? All
Yes.
the blast.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
and that was crazy. I thought he was gonna die.
I know.
Like, man. And then she pushed him, and I was like,
Yes.
no.
Ugh.
Um,
Wow.
pushed him to safety. That was,
Yep.
yeah, like really powerful, compelling character moments throughout the film. Not only, like you said, them versus Godzilla, but man versus himself, I should say.
Yeah.
With him doing and I didn't think about it that way, like a war as externally, but also a war within. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like obviously, you know, you see it happening, but I didn't think about that.
Sure.
Like, oh, the term war as referring to
Right.
both of them. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so yeah, really good movie. I need to see it again actually. So
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to own it and watch it numerous times. Hopefully they do maybe a commentary, and I'd like to see some behind
ooh,
the
that would be
scenes
good.
features or something because yeah, this is just a super well made movie. That again, I think Hollywood needs to take notice and learn from this. Lower budgets, more compelling stories, more focused stories. I
Hmm.
think is the goal. And yeah, like I said, definitely one of my favorites of the year. Actually, the podcast this week will be some of our favorite movies of the year, so we'll see if it makes the list. And so yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Make sure you check back to the channel. We've got again our reaction to Godzilla minus one up right now. Last week's podcast was all about Christmas movies. That was a lot of fun. Josh and my brother Carson joined us on that. So make sure you check out all those videos. Check us out on social media. All those links are in the description below. Josh and I are both on Letterboxd, so follow us there. And Josh, thanks again for joining me on this special spoiler review for Godzilla minus one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, good movie and good fun talking about it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos, and we'll see you next time right here on The Real World.